Spooky season is slowly creeping in, craft buddies, and I am so excited because today we are doing Halloween DIYs. I love Halloween. I didn't used to be a big Halloween fan, but over the years I've just really loved the decor, DIYing, and I'm not a big like spooky, scary Halloween person, but I am definitely an adorable and affordable Halloween person. So today we are DIYing, we're doing decor ideas. I've got some hacks for you as well as a ton of free SVGs and printables. You're watching Whiskey and Whit. My name is Whitney, and a huge thank you to Craftsy for sponsoring this video and helping me bring you all of this Halloween inspiration. I sure hope you got a chance to watch my last video, which is full of fall and Halloween wood projects. If you haven't, be sure to check that out after this one. But after I made everything in that video, I had a ton of scrap wood left. So I grabbed the pieces that I had that were in rectangles, nothing in particular. These are like 5x7, some little small pieces. And I cut to size some of these vintage Halloween ads and vintage Halloween candy wrappers. I will have a ton of these in my free file library if you want to grab these as well. I sized them in Google Docs like I always do. I've got a tutorial on that down in the description for you. And then I used a baby wipe as well as some acrylic paint to make some of them light orange, dark orange, black, and I also did a faux stain technique by using Antique Wax by Waverly, but you can also use brown paint. Once that dries, go through with Mod Podge on the side that you're going to apply your either wrapper or your ad. We're going to make sure that that fully dries. Then we're going to add the paper. I printed on cardstock, but you can use paper as well. And I'm covering this with a Teflon sheet to protect the artwork and also my little Cricut press, just so in case any of the Mod Podge was not covered by that, I'm not getting Mod Podge on my little iron. You're going to press it for 30-ish seconds, paying extra close attention to the edges, and it's ready to go. If you've got anything overlapping, you can either cut it or you can also sand it down, and then these things are good to go. You don't need anything on the top. It is sucked into the Mod Podge. You could seal it if you want, but I'm not sealing mine. And I love these. How fun are these? They're primitive, they're vintage, they're super nostalgic, and I love them. Such a great use of scrap wood, if I do say so myself. And you could also grab wood from the value wood section. You could grab Dollar Tree wood, or you could also mount these with Mod Podge to some foam board. Whatever works for you. Not only am I bringing you a ton of Halloween inspiration today, but my good friend Courtney over at Creative on the Cheap is also sharing a ton of Halloween inspiration today. So be sure to check out her video as well. I will have it linked down in the description as well as up in the cards here. Her style is very similar to mine, but her projects are going to give you so much more inspiration. So be sure to check that out so you just will have ideas for days. I love Dollar Tree, Thrifted, Walmart, all of those really affordable place frames because for Halloween, take them, spray paint them black, and add a fun printable. You guys know I am here. I'm your printable girl. I'm here with the free files. So be sure to head over to my free file library because I've got all these options. You just print them out, pop them into the frame, bada bing, bada boom, you're good to go. How cute are these? That's me. Skeleton with the iced coffee. If you consume any Disney type content online, you probably have seen these ears. They went super viral. The resellers got them. They're selling them for $1.5 billion. So I decided to make my own version. I grabbed this file from Wilder Crafting over on Etsy. And if you have not checked out her shop and you love SVGs, her Disney ones are impeccable. They're great for cardstock, felt. I used my Cricut to cut it out on felt, but if you don't have a cutting machine, you can easily use the file to print it out. Like you could put it in a Canva or Google Docs, print them out and use it as a template, and you can cut by hand. I wanted to make a lot of these options because I wanted to make some gifts and some bag tags. And then I also used heat transfer vinyl in my Cricut to cut out the face and the cheeks. So I did the face in black heat transfer vinyl, the cheeks in a light baby pink, and then I cut out bows for all of my mini ghosts in orange. So here's the vibe that we're going for. Now you're going to need 2 ghosts for each ghost. 2 ghost cutouts, that is. We're going to put the face on the first one and the cheeks. And then we're going to use our embroidery thread to add our bow. So here I'm just using my little mini press. I'm adding the face, peel that off, add the cheeks, and then take that carrier sheet from the face, so that little plasticky piece, put it back on the areas that are exposed. You don't want to touch that black heat transfer vinyl with your heat source because it's going to melt right on there, and not for the best. Then to attach our bow, we're going to line it up. We're going to tie a knot in the end of our orange thread. We're going to pull that up from the bottom of just one of our ghosts because we're going to add it to just the front. And you're going to go looping around all the way around the outside so that it's tacked on to your ghost. So go up and around, do that all the way around, and then we're going to tie a knot, and here's what you're going to have. Then you're going to grab your second ghost shape, so this one's just plain white. You're going to line it up, and we're going to do a blanket stitch around the outside. So you are going to make sure your knot is in between the two pieces, so it's hidden, and then we are going to do a blanket stitch around the outside. So you basically come up from the bottom, and then you're going to take your needle and put it through that loop before you pull it all the way through. So up from the bottom, pull it through the loop. Here's what you're going for. You're going to do that all the way around and leave a little gap. So then that way you can add some stuffing. We are going to stuff, and I like this little chopstick dowel rod thing that comes with the polyfill because it allows me to get it in all the nooks and crannies so that the ears are puffed up, the hands are puffed up, and the little squiggle scallop at the bottom of the ghosts are all full. Then once you have it where you want it, do the blanket stitch, continue on to where you started it, and then tie it off. These were so easy to put together. Simple embroidery stitches, and you could create a garland with them. You could just put them out for decor. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some bag tags or kind of boo basket charms. You could also add names with the heat transfer vinyl. I love these. They are so cute, and I like my version, especially because it was not a bajillion dollars from a reseller. If you've been following along with my fall and Halloween projects this year, you've seen that I've been doing a ton of felt embroidery projects like this Mickey Ghost candy bucket, Trevor the turkey from the mystery box, a Halloween garland, and of course these ghosts we just finished up. I've gotten so many comments from you guys saying, I wish I could sew like you. I wish I had those skills. You guys, I've been able to get those skills and take them to the next level very quickly thanks to what I've been learning about embroidery on Craftsy, the sponsor of today's video. If you love all things creative, Craftsy is your online resource with over 2,000 classes in not just embroidery, but quilting, crochet, cake decorating, woodworking, sewing, photography, and so much more. I love that their classes are broken into easy bite-sized lessons that you can go at your own pace, you can rewatch them, and I have learned so many new things through their courses. One of my favorite courses is Intro to Embroidery with Kristen Gula. I use stitches that she taught me all the time, like the back stitch and French knots. I also love that taking classes like this show me that embroidery can be used for so much more than just needlepoint on a hoop. I've also been diving into more courses to improve my sewing. I made this Haunted Mansion purse with the matching strap for Halloween. I love it. And the matching wallet using an easy coin pouch Craftsy pattern and corresponding course. You get access to tons of sewing, quilting, knitting, and crochet patterns as a Craftsy member too. Nothing compares to learning a new skill and the pride you feel when you finish the project. I just love it, and it's been such a good self-care hobby. So if this sounds good to you too, the first 1,000 of you to click the link in the video description or scan this QR code will get a full year of premium membership to Craftsy for only $1.49. That's valid for new members only, and definitely jump on it because those 1,000 spots go so fast every time I work with them. One of my staples that I bring out every year right away are spooky mirrors. These are so easy to make, and they make any setup look really put together like you tried super hard. Grab yourself some thrifted frames or shop your house. I like ones with metallic frames. Pop out the glass, spritz it with some water, and then spray it with some Rust-Oleum mirror spray paint. While it's still wet, take a paper towel and just dab it. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray a little bit more and I'm going to dab it again. Then that way you get that kind of spooky old cracked effect. Then you're going to let that fully dry, flip it over, and give the back a coat of black spray paint. Then you are going to have that really spooky kind of haunted house, fun house type vibe. You can put signs in front of it. You can leave it as is. So many different options, and I'm pretty sure I made both of these for under $8. This one might feel super random with what we're using to make these candles, but promise they will turn out good. You're going to grab a plunger handle from Dollar Tree, or if you already have some dowel rods at home, or you could grab them at the hardware store as well. This is just really cost effective. I cut off the rounded end as well as the piece of the handle that goes into the actual rubber part of the plunger. And I ended up marking and cutting them down to 4 different lengths that I wanted, ranging from 4 inches to 7 inches tall. Then I just gave it a quick sand to make sure that I got off any residue from the sticker as well as any rough patches from cutting. Then I'm going to mix together a little bit of water as well as some black paint and apply it directly to the dowel rod to give it this kind of spooky rustic look. Now, what are candles without a flame? We're going to make those out of hot glue. You need some sort of mat that the glue's not going to stick to. So I'm using a silicone mat, but you could also easily just use some wax paper or parchment paper. Go ahead and draw your shapes on there, let them completely cool, and they're going to harden. Once the flame shape is hardened, then you can go through with a little bit of paint or a paint marker and add a little bit of yellow, a little bit of gold, a little bit of orange, whatever suits your fancy to make it look like the flames that you want. And then I added a little bit more hot glue to the tops of all of my little faux wood candles so I could add my flame. Now you can either leave the glue as is and add these effects like I did, or if you really want it to kind of blend in differently, you could paint the quote unquote melted wax, which is the hot glue at the top, black. My last step was to tie them together with a little bit of jute twine, and these things are the perfect addition to any setup. They look nice and spooky, and what I like is they're smaller and they're great for tiered trays. And what I like is they are super fun and festive, but they don't take up a ton of room. Up next, we're going to make these adorable mini wooden witch hats, and I made mine with scrap 1x4s and 1x3s because that's what I had, but you could literally use any type and size of wood that you have or want to grab. I'm going to start by turning my saw to a 20-degree angle to cut. Then I'm going to flip it over, find the point, and cut another 20-degree angle to create a triangle. If you don't have a saw that can do this, you can also use a jigsaw to get the shape. Then on the 1x3, I'm going to measure the width that I need, and this one ended up being a little bit small for my triangle to fit on it, so I ended up making it a little bit bigger, a little closer to 5.5 inches. Then I'm taking all of my pieces with my palm sander and really sanding it down. This palm sander is great because it does not grab my fingers like my big one does, especially for little items. I ended up doing 3 rectangles and 3 triangles, and I'm going to paint them all in black chalk paint and then distress them with some sandpaper. Once my shapes are distressed, I am going to take some Gorilla Glue hot glue, which is suited for wood, and I'm going to glue these 2 pieces together to create a cute little witch's hat. Now to cover up any of that glue and to give it a little more texture, I'm just using some raffia from Amazon, looping it around a few times, tying a knot, and then trimming the excess. How adorable are these little hats? They would make really cute place card holders too. If you're having like a dinner party, you could put names on it, or you could just leave them as is, put them on a tiered tray or a little setup, and they are so easy to make. Now, what if you want something with a little more pizzazz, like this large hat? Well, it's just as easy to make, just a little different of a process. I'm using scrap 1x12, but you can also use plywood for this. You're going to trace out a triangle and cut it out with a jigsaw. You could also use a scroll saw if you have that as well. Then I am going to take that piece on more 1x12 and create an oval shape that will look like the bottom of the hat. You could also do a circle if you want to do that, but I thought the oval would kind of make it look rustic and whimsy. Once everything was cut out, I am sanding it, and the goal here is to soften the corners. So I am going right on that sharp corner to really buff it down with the sander. That way it's going to give it a polished look and your edges aren't going to be sharp and modern. We're going to do the same process with the little hats, paint it all the way around with black chalk paint, and then distress both pieces on the edges. Then I'm going to use that same Gorilla Glue hot glue, which I will link down below. It's great for wood projects like this because it bonds really great and you get that quick hold. And then I needed some embellishments. So I used some black and tan buffalo check ribbon as well as some raffia that I used on the other hats. I ended up doing like a couple pieces of raffia so it would kind of be really whimsy in the front. I tied a knot, dovetailed the ends, then I added some clippings from this berry pick that I recently picked up at home, and I thought they were the perfect addition to this hat to add some traditional Halloween flair. And voila! I love this. I've had this on my want to make list for seriously a couple years now, so I'm really glad that I made it. You could easily add a Cricut decal or hand lettering on the hat if you wanted to, but I thought it was just really cute as it is. This would make a really fun centerpiece for a Halloween tablescape as well. And if you loved those witch projects, be sure to check out my wood video from last week because I show you how to make this adorable witch. I named mine Wanda. It is so easy to make, but she is so cute and timeless. For this next one, we're going to get a little bougie and go the ghost route. Get it? That was a dad joke. But anyway, we're going to use some foam balls from Dollar Tree, some skewers, and some white fabric. This fabric came from Dollar Tree, but you could use anything you have on hand. You can also thrift fabric as well to keep it really affordable. We're going to trim down into squares so that they fit over the foam balls onto the skewers. I saw this in an ad from Etsy, and so this was the vibe I was going for. I was going to put the eyelet on the outside, just so then that way you kind of had that vintage applique look. I'm going to tie around the neck, like the inspiration, some jute twine, and I also decided that I needed to press out wrinkles because those were being stubborn. Once I had the jute twine all tied and everything sat where it needed to be, I pulled apart some fabric just to do some like rip ribbon. I don't know what the actual term is. I call them rip ribbons. Cut a little slit, rip it apart. You've got the really pretty frayed ends. And then to get them to stand up, I took a circular wood round ornament. I glued a wood bead on its side in the center, and then I used some more hot glue to insert the skewer into the bead. Finish it off with some eyes cut out of felt, and these guys are so cute. I love that they're two different sizes. You could also create as many of these as people in your family, as many grandkids that you have. It would be a really cute little setup. Add bows for the girls, whatever fits your family. These are quick and easy and fun. Hey Craft Buddy, if you are sticking with me and are enjoying this video, be sure to head down to the comments and leave me an emoji, a little ghosty or a pumpkin, something for Halloween. That just lets me know that you make it to this point of the video, and also lets YouTube know that you are enjoying watching this. So if you ever feel the need to leave a comment because you love a video, do that, or just leave an emoji. It helps all the same. And heading into the holiday season, that just helps me be able to create more content for you guys. Now let's get back into the projects. This next one is great for all kids as well as kids at heart. Grab yourself some of these Halloween rings as well as some fun soap. I went with orange, and I actually grabbed this smaller one for $1.24 at Walmart, but you could fill your own stuff with that big Dollar Tree jug for $1.25. Cut the ring parts off of the bats or spiders, whatever you want to do, and fit them inside the soap. I used the little straw thing that works with the pump to push them down and get them all around, and this is so fun and festive, and it really makes Finn excited to wash his hands as we head into cold and flu season. During a trip to Dollar Tree, I came across this turkey tray and I was instantly inspired. I brought it home and covered it with some painter's tape just in the center, and then I used a box cutter to carefully cut around the outside to get a more even edge. So then that way we have the outside exposed, but the inside reflective area is blocked from any paint we're going to add. Then I took some black matte spray paint and spray painted the outside in my lovely spray paint tent. I get questions about it all the time, so I will link it down below. It's a game changer so you don't get stuff on your cars, your garage, anything else. Then after I let this completely dry after 2 coats, I'm peeling off the painter's tape, and then our last step is to add our vinyl. I love how this looks like a spooky Halloween mirror, and I'm going to add this Ghost and Goblins file. This is on black matte vinyl. I cut it to 11 inches tall, and I carefully weeded out everything, all the different pieces. And then I realized that that was supposed to say shining bright, not shining bring. And I was so mad. But hold on, we're going to apply this. We're going to remove the letters we don't want. And I'm going to show you real quick how you can change this, because for a long time, I thought you just had to recut the whole thing to get the sizing right, and it was just a waste of vinyl. You do not have to recut the whole thing. So say you're missing an I, a little piece, you spelt it wrong like me. I will show you in just a second how to fix it. I'm going to use the hinge method to apply this vinyl. So all that is using painter's tape here to put down half of it. Then that way it's not going to move on you. So you get it right where you want it, apply half, and then the other half, especially if you're worried about just winging it to try to get it centered, this will save you so many headaches. So here is how to quickly and easily fix that little issue that I had. It is not only great if you spell something wrong like me, but say you are weeding and you're missing a chunk of an I, like the little dot, or you need like a hyphen or something. This is a really easy way to fix it. So we've got our same SVG file in the same size. That's important. You want to make sure it's sized the same. And then you're going to go up here and you're going to ungroup it. Then you're also going to grab this section and ungroup it, because all you want is this HT. So we're going to take this top, delete it, take this bottom, delete it. We also don't need wishing you a spooky. Don't need the dots. We already have the BRIG, and we've got HT. That's it. We're going to attach, and we're going to go ahead and make it, and we're going to be able to cut just that chunk instead of having to redo the whole thing. So I'm going to cut that out, get my thing fixed, and show you how cute it is styled. I absolutely love how this turned out because it really does look like a mirror. It's not completely reflective, which is actually nice. So you can kind of see just a little bit of the outlines, and it was so easy to make over. So those turkey trays, you better grab them because they might be flying before Thanksgiving if people see this project and want to recreate it. If that turkey tray is a little too large for your house, no worries. Here's another idea. You're going to grab one of these smaller trays. I found it in the houseware section, but sometimes you can find them in the party section as well. I'm using black MAC vinyl again, adding this decal that I cut to 7.5 inches wide. And I have a similar version over in my free file library. I originally got this one from Etsy, but then it was a little too shiny, so I added a little bit of black paint on the outside, and it is the perfect size for all of my little Pop Funkos. I have the whole set for Hocus Pocus. I absolutely love it. I think the only one I don't have is Binks, but that one has been sold out for a few years, and it's like $100. So we'll just, in our mind, think we have Binks in the setup. This is the time of the fall season where I can try some viral DIYs I've been seeing all over the place. So this Dollar Tree plunger, I started by removing the handle just so it was easier to work with. And I used some brown paint and a baby wipe to do a faux stain technique. Now you can stain it, you can paint it, do whatever you want. I just did the faux technique so then that way it would dry quicker. Then I took my little tape measure and I measured 9-inch pieces. Actually, I think I went down. Yeah, I ended up doing 8-inch pieces. And I cut them, and I decided to put some painter's tape down so I knew what 8 inches was because it was hard to hold it and it was a lot more efficient. So I was like, here's my start, here's my finish. And I cut up 2 chunks, like bundles of nautical rope from Dollar Tree. Ended up giving me about 23-ish pieces, and that was plenty. You don't need any more than that. You're going to re-add your plunger to the bottom, and then you're going to grab some rubber bands. I started by doing 1 row of the nautical rope. Then I took another rubber band, added it over the top just to make sure it didn't move. And then we're going to go through and add the remaining pieces to the top of the other nautical rope pieces. And if you're starting to see the witch's broom come together, then you are spot on. I know so many of you guys have told me that you don't have TikTok, you're not on Instagram, and YouTube's really where you get a lot of your content. And so I wanted to try this viral one. This is one of those projects that you see everybody making, like they just really pop off. And so I definitely wanted to try my hand at it. Once we've got all of our nautical rope hooked on to our plunger, then we're going to start by unraveling them. So it's a 3-corded strand. I pulled that apart, and then I also pulled apart all the individual ones just to make it feel more full. Then when it was all fluffed, I added some raffia over the rubber band so I could cover it, and this thing was good to go. It is the perfect companion to my wood witch hat. It's always nice to try out these viral ideas to see if they really are as easy as people make them out to be, and I can tell you, it definitely is. I got a lot of different requests when I asked the craft buddies what you guys wanted to see in upcoming videos, and I got a lot of requests for gift ideas. So here is one for friends, teachers, etc. So I have a tag that says, Happy Halloween to a fabulous teacher. Instead of fabulous, I am a fan of a good pun. I filled up the cup with some of that shred from Dollar Tree. Then I added one of these cute pennants from the Walmart Dollar Spot. The cups are also from Walmart, if you didn't catch that by the tags, and they were under $6, which is awesome. I added some of the chiffon ribbon along with some orange rickrack and tied on the tag with just a little hole punch in the corner. And then inside the cup, I added things like some eye patches for self-care. I also added a little bit more to add a lip balm, and then I'm also going to add a Dunkin' Donuts gift card. You definitely don't have to go all out. You can definitely just write a card to a teacher, but I know especially by Halloween, that's when you get through the tough part. I mean, the whole thing's tough, but you get through the tough part of getting everybody on board for school. So I'm really excited to just thank them in this way. This next one was a huge hit last year when I shared it in my top Dollar Tree Cricut blanks video. And if you loved this video last year, you're definitely going to want to have your notifications on because I am doing another fall and Halloween Cricut video next week. I started by staining it with early American stain, and then I went through with a chippy brush and some sandstone paint just to kind of break it up a little bit. Then I used this cut file that is over in my free file library, the Frankenstein restroom, using matte black adhesive vinyl cut to 10 inches wide. It says restroom and it looks like the men's and women's signs that you would see, but it's Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein. I'm using some paper transfer tape to apply it to my sign. It went on quick and easy, and you can use it just as a sign, like sitting up, or you can hang it on a wreath. A few different options. This would be so cute for just general decor, but definitely super cute if you host a Halloween party. Now, if you like projects like this, I've got a ton more in my top Dollar Tree blanks videos that I've done for years past. Tons of Halloween inspiration, including this custom Addams Family sign that you can make for yourself. So be sure to check that out down in the comments or up above after you're done watching this video. With all the fence picket videos I do here on my channel, I had so many left over, and I saw this as inspiration on Doe Dodson Designs. She did one with some smaller pickets, and I thought I need to make that. So I will link her original post down below. She actually went way further than mine. I kind of simplified mine down, but I still love how it turned out. So I started by taking all my remnants, and they actually worked out pretty good. I only had to cut like one of them down, which was great. And I did 3 different layers of the pickets. Then with them laid out, I measured across the front to see how big I needed a bracing piece to be, which ended up being about 28 inches. I also cut a 2x4 down to approximately 30 inches. So then that way I would have that as the actual base. And then I'm going to use that measurement to cut a 2x2 scrap from our kitchen table actually to brace that. I was looking for one that was closer to the right length, and this one was close enough, so I just decided not to cut it. Then it was time to make my ghost. So I just took a pencil. In the first couple ones, I roughed out like a ghost shape at the top. And then I just took my jigsaw and cut the shape. Once I got going, I kind of just started to wing it, and I didn't need to mark anything off. I just needed to kind of make some go right, some go left, some be straight, and I like that they don't all match. Then it was important to lay them back out because I needed to make sure that all of the curves went the right way and make sure that I didn't have to make any additional cuts. Then I made sure to give everything a really good sand, especially those fence pickets, because cedar is pretty rough naturally, and it is so much harder to paint if you don't. Then after everything is sanded down, I'm going to do a dry brush with a chippy brush. This is going to make it so you still see the wood underneath, but you're also going to get that white ghost texture. Once it was all dry, I laid them all back out in the arrangement that I wanted and used my black paint marker to add faces to all of them. It's literally a collection of 2 ovals for the eyes and then either a circle or an oval for the mouth. Then my base went together relatively simply. I just added some wood glue to that 2x2 piece, clamped them together in this L shape, and then I went through drilled holes along as the clamps were still holding it together, and then I put some 2-inch construction screws in because I wanted to make sure that this was going to be a very solid base. Then I took my nail gun, again you can use those finished nails if you'd rather do that, and added my ghosts row by row. Then for the last ones, I got them where I wanted them, and I added some additional nails so that some in the middle were hooking to the back one just to make sure everything was solid. If you are a ghost fan, be sure to check out all of my videos I'm linking down below. This one I made last week. It is all hand painted and super easy to do, so you're definitely going to not want to miss that tutorial. I also have this Hey There Pumpkin reversible sign that's Fall on one side and Haunted Mansion on the other side. I did that in my video last year, and I also shared it in my fall kickoff video this year, so I will link that if this is a project that interests you. Now, what would Halloween be without some sweet treats? So here is how I created these awesome Hocus Pocus inspired treats. Step 1 is to make the brownies for the books, and we're not doing anything crazy here. We're just doing a box mix. And what I like to do is replace the oil with the same amount of melted butter, but you can make it accordance to the box. That's just personal preference for the kind of moist texture it gives the brownies. I'm going to put them into the pan, make sure it's greased, and bake them according to the package instructions. And then I'm going to cut out all of these little pieces that are the size of the book. So you want kind of longer rectangles. Then I'm taking a mixture of goodies I found just in the baking section at Walmart, these large eyeballs, as well as some easy squeeze icing just to make it super simple. We're going to do a long line of black down the one side, outline our eyes, and then also create the little stitching on either side. Couple little loop-de-doops on the top and bottom, and as you can see, these don't have to be perfect to be super fun and cute. This is also another great kids, grandkids project, especially if you want to watch Hocus Pocus or even another Halloween themed video. It doesn't have to be just Hocus Pocus, that's just the book that I modeled these off. And then it was time to make my little Winnie Sanderson mouths. So I cut a cookie, again store-bought because we're not trying to go too crazy here. It saved me a ton of time, but if you want to make it, you go right ahead. To each their own, do what makes you feel good. Then I am going to just create a little bit of like a lipstick situation on the front so it looks like a mouth after the two are hooked together. Spread it out with a knife and then add 2 mini marshmallows to create kind of that signature buck tooth type of look that Winifred Sanderson has. I think these are so fun. They were a hit at the party and they are just as much fun to make as they are to display, and it's going to look like you tried super hard. And if brownies aren't your vibe, no worries. You can make an actual Sanderson Sisters spell book for your decor. I made this one following a tutorial from my good friend Bargain Bethany, and it was super easy to do. It was a mixture of some cardboard, some hot glue, and it looks funky until you paint it. I used nutmeg brown. I just added some additional effects with gray and gold, and bada bing, bada boom, I've got a book. Another Whiskey and Whit project that has definitely stood the test of time that I bring out every year, I made this about 3 years ago, is this hand-painted sign. I've got a full tutorial that I will link for you to show you how to paint this yourself. And if you're not a Hocus Pocus person, you could easily do just this general Halloween one. They're really easy to hand paint, and you just need either some reclaimed wood if you've got some free wood, or you can make it with some fence pickets. So you can get those for a couple bucks at your hardware store. So a few different options, but it turns out so cute. It's so fun. Trick-or-treaters have always made comments on it when they come up, and I love Hocus Pocus. And super quick before we leave the Hocus Pocus section of this video, I also recently made some awesome plywood cutouts of the 3 Sanderson sisters that glow that I'm so excited to put out this year for Halloween. So if that interests you, I will link that video up above as well as down below so you can go check out and see how you can make your own. This is another one where you literally need plywood and a jigsaw, quick and easy, and such a huge impact. Now on the other end of the outdoor decor spectrum is this Haunted Mansion sign. This is the first one I made, and I started by going to Home Depot and gathering all my supplies. Now I have a full video that's breaking down all the supplies that you need to make the actual post to hang the sign. So I will link that down below. You can head over there and I will show you exactly how I made it. It was a pretty easy process to put everything together, and it has also lasted out in the elements for a year now, and it just needs another quick coat of sealant, but it is doing really well. So just an FYI there, if you want to make it, it lasts for a good amount of time. To make the hanging sign, I just did 3 pieces of fence picket, braced the back, and then I used a couple cans of paint that I had in my garage to create kind of a scalloped effect, and then used my jigsaw to cut it out. I ended up cutting one side and then using that piece as kind of a guide for the other side as well as the bottom, so it looked a little bit more symmetrical. And here is what it looked like when I was done. I ended up sanding and painting the entire thing black and then added a Cricut decal, this Haunted Mansion decal, and I was able to just kind of stamp really lightly over the top the paint. And then to finish it off, you need to drill 2 holes in the top of your sign and put these C-hooks. You just twist it right on in. And again, if you head over to that video, this is kind of a lengthy project, so I will refer you to that original video to get the slower tutorial. But here's a gist of how everything came together. And then you hang it with some chains that I got as well at Home Depot. And since I made this original Haunted Mansion Halloween one, I've also made a spring one, a Christmas one, a fall one, and I just made a popsicle for summer earlier this year. So this is super versatile and you can switch it out for each and every season. I love adding pop culture elements and like movies into my seasonal decor, and this one is no exception. I grabbed some apples from Amazon, which I will link all the supplies from today's video down below so you can easily find them in the description. It's just underneath the video. And I started by taking these fake apples and drawing a poison apple face from Snow White. Then I took my glue gun and traced around that outline so that it was raised, and then I got rid of any of the little wispies. I mixed together some kind of neon green paint as well as some of this Arteza sparkle paint to really make it look like the gooey poison apple that you see in the movie. And then using those glue pieces as a guide, I am painting the inner parts so that you can see the red nose and the red eyes. It ended up taking me 3 coats to finish this off, but once I did, it definitely gave the vibe I was looking for. And I also painted a couple of them white because in the movie you've got both green and white poison apples. Then I wanted to have a sign to add to the setup, and this was actually a mystery box item that I was sent from my friend Jennifer at Little Bit of Calm and Crazy. So I added the Evil Queen's Apple Orchard to it with some heat transfer vinyl, and I used the heat transfer vinyl versus regular because I didn't have glitter regular vinyl and I wanted this thing to sparkle, so you could use either or. I used the lowest setting on my mini press to add both of these after cutting them out on my Cricut, and it was the perfect addition. This file came from Etsy, so I will link that down in the description if you're interested in getting the same one. This is not my file, but I definitely support other creators when I can if I don't have the time or the patience to create a file myself. A couple weeks ago, I was scrolling through TikTok and this popped up. Finn saw it and asked if we could get one. Well, it was $129. So I thought, okay, I don't want to say no. So I just said, how about we make one? I went to Michael's and grabbed a white and orange version of these tall pumpkins. And I grabbed 4 of these ladles from Dollar Tree. Now, if you're only making 1 pumpkin, you only need 2 ladles. I'm making 2 of these here. I'm using my tin snips to cut off the top ladle part because for the ears of this Mickey pumpkin, I didn't want to use foam or cardboard because I didn't think it would match as well. I wanted to try to get a plastic and that worked perfect. Now I've got a free printable face for you over on my blog. You can literally print it out and not have to worry about sizing it if you're using the same size pumpkins as I am. I just traced it onto the front of my pumpkin, and I also did it on the front of my white pumpkin. Then to cut these out, I used this professional hot knife I got from Michael's. This is not necessary. It definitely made it a lot easier, but you could easily do it with a pumpkin carving kit or a serrated knife from your kitchen. This was nice though because it made clean cuts and it made the job go by a lot quicker. I just carefully waited for it to heat up, and then also again, carefully is the key word here, went through, and I had to get a little trial and error because I had never used one before, but once I did, I was able to easily cut this out. And I also think that the more simple you keep your shape, like this face was really simple, it won't cause a huge issue for you. The last step that I needed to do was add a hole in the back, just a regular shape for some lights, and then I cut 2 slits on either side of the head so I could add my little ladle pieces. That was a lot of trial and error. I just cut it so that my pieces would fit in there and then hooked them in with hot glue. For the white face, I covered the inside with black just because the white on white wasn't standing out as much as I wanted, but the white on orange worked just fine. Now I plan to add a tea light candle to the white ghost Mickey pumpkin, but this one I wanted it to glow like the inspiration. And I was like, how am I going to do this? Well, I decided to try to put in a little bit of yellow tissue paper. I added this pack of orange lights from Dollar Tree that you can just plug in. And I added a couple dabs of hot glue right on the inside of the mouth and the eyes, and I carefully hooked the tissue paper to it. I tried to use double stick tape, but that didn't work, but the glue held it in the perfect spot. And then it was time to check with Finn to see if he approved.
Emails the pumpkin.
He definitely loves this thing and asks me to plug it in all the time now. I need to add the tea light candle, like I said, to the white one. It was a very straightforward, simple project, and I'm really happy with how the ladle ears turned out as well. Let me know down below, are you a Disney Halloween fan? I used to be a little bit, but now that I've got a toddler, we are full send on that one. I hope you loved today's video and all the adorable and affordable Halloween inspiration. Be sure to let me know your favorites down in the comments. And while you're down there, be sure to check out more about today's sponsor, Craftsy. I truly love Craftsy. I've learned so much from them. The first 1,000 of you to use the link or scan this QR code will get a year of premium membership to Craftsy for only $1.49. Be sure to hit subscribe before you leave so you don't miss any future videos. Check out my free file library for everything I shared today, and check out the description or pinned comment for all of my supplies and links I mentioned in today's video. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a very fun and safe spooky season, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!